Well, I didn't expect to be diagnosed with sudden hearing loss, but here we are. I got diagnosed recently with sudden sensorineural hearing loss. And if you're like me, I had no idea what that even was. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that was even possible. So here we are. I want to explain my story because everybody I've talked to, friends and family, have told me they also never heard of such a thing. And with the platform I have, I feel like it's just something that I would like to share. So it's important information that everyone should know about because I'll tell my story, but I waited a little too long to go see a specialist, unfortunately. But I wanted to tell my story. So we're here and thriving. This was not in the 2025 bingo card. Let's start with the basics. What is sudden sensorineural hearing loss? I'll read the definition out. It is commonly known as sudden deafness. It's an unexplained rapid loss of hearing either all at once or over a few days. It happens because there is something wrong with the sensory organs of the inner ear, and it frequently affects only one ear. In plain man's term, basically your ear decides to not work. Whatever neural connections are in your ear to your brain don't work. Please take this with a grain of salt. I am not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm talking about my personal experience and putting this information out there. So this is more of an information that I have collected and talked to my own doctors and specialists with. Also, if you are watching this and you are experiencing very similar symptoms or you think you have hearing loss, it is a medical emergency if you lose your hearing right away. Ideally, my doctors told me that you should have come within the first 72 hours, so within the first 3 days, to be able to start treatments right away to help get your hearing back. And advocate for yourself, because I didn't in the beginning, and I went a few weeks, unfortunately, with my case because I was very sick at the time. Like everyone around Christmas time, it just got a really bad cold and they thought it had to do with the cold I had, but it wasn't, unfortunately. So advocate yourself, go to the ER right away. It is considered a medical emergency. So I'm going to put that out there right now. But yes, basically, whatever neurons, nerve endings, I'm again not a doctor, whatever goes on to connect your ear to your brain, something is mixed, whether it be blood, inflammation, they said might be one. It's something usually happens like that, and it'll basically block the connection. There's not much to be known about this. There's no really cause for it per se. It could be caused by viral infections. It could be caused by an autoimmune disease of some sort. Sometimes it literally just happens for no reason. There's that. And unfortunately, there's not much to be done either. If you catch it right away, sometimes they can use a steroid, either orally or as like a dropper, but that has to be started within 72 hours of the original hearing loss. So it has to be started right away. And if that doesn't happen, then you just kind of have to wait for it to come back. There's not much to be done. Of course, going off of what your ENT specialist says. If you don't know what ENT specialist, that's your ear, nose, and throat specialist. That's who you would see in this case, more than likely. It commonly affects one ear. It's very rare for it to happen in both. But for mine, it's just my left ear, but there is very little hearing out of it. It's common to have tinnitus, so that ringing in your ear is quite common for that, as well as vertigo and dizziness. I dealt with some crazy dizziness, had to take like a week and a half off of work, all this crazy shit. It was very intense, to say the least, because your ears are used for your balance and your perception of like how you feel the world and how you know if you're upright or not. So as soon as that is away, your body kind of like has to readjust a little bit. It's gotten a lot better, but if I spin around a little too fast, or if I adjust myself in bed, it'll send me spinning a little bit. So I've heard sometimes that it could be more of like a muffled noise, like you might be able to hear something in your ear, but it might not be like 100%. For me, I've lost almost everything. I got a hearing test done, and yeah, my right ear totally fine. Left ear, there's basically nothing there. It was like way on the chart difference, and it was kind of scary, not gonna lie. But yeah, that's kind of like a brief explanation of what it is. It's been a new thing for me. I didn't even know you can just lose your hearing like that, which is just crazy to me. But I think it's because the fact that there's not much known about it, that people don't know about it, you feel? Okay, so my story, what actually happened? So what started this is, like I mentioned earlier, I was hella sick during Christmas. Like a lot of people this year, everyone I knew got sick before or after Christmas. So I was one of those lucky people who got it after Christmas. Started just like a really bad cold. That's all it really was. But then one night, it was a Tuesday night, I yawned, my ear popped a little bit, and then within 2 hours, I couldn't hear out of it, more or less. I had crazy ringing that same night when it happened, which I thought was a little weird. Then over the course of a week, I went to a walk-in clinic, and then I went to an ER, the emergency hospital, because I got crazy vertigo. Unfortunately, both of those doctors just played it off as this is a cold symptom and it'll clear up, gave me some antibiotics and sent me on my way. Unfortunately. Then my cold got better. I was like, I still can't hear. I don't think this is a cause of the cold. And I should have trusted my gut in the beginning, which I kind of bite myself in the ass for, but I mean, it is what it is now, unfortunately. But went to a walk-in clinic again and I was like, I still can't hear anything. And they were like, okay, we'll get you an audio test and you can go get your hearing tested. I walked into the audio clinic and honestly, like the guy who helped me out, it was like a godsend because he was so concerned like right away, unlike the two doctors I saw before. The audiologist was like, yeah, we'll get you in right away. They got me in the next day. And yeah, he was very concerned. He was like, yeah, you can't hear anything. And because of how long it was, and at that point it was 4 weeks, which is actually pretty common from what I was reading on Reddit and my online research is most people usually actually see a specialist after 4 weeks. The audiologist recommended I go to our big hospital here in the city. I'm from Edmonton, so we went to the UFA hospital. Yeah, went and saw a specialist, sat in there for, a really long time. If you are from Canada, you understand the wait times. But yeah, went to see a specialist and there's like, yeah, gave me the diagnosis of sudden sensory neural hearing loss. I always have to like say that out really slowly, but gave me that diagnosis and they're like, we'll follow up with a specialist in Edmonton here and then you can go and just keep up with them and they'll probably just do some more audio tests just to see every couple months or every month just to see if your hearing's coming back or not. And there's really nothing else to be done. So that was kind of my story, which I've been going through it. Like emotionally, it's been a lot. I would be totally transparent and say it wasn't the scariest thing in my life. Realizing that I might not be able to hear out of one ear again, it's been actually really fucking scary. But at the same time, there's nothing I can do. So I'm just trying to live my life and just do my thing. If you've been in my channel and you've been with my Twitch streams and stuff, I play games. I play video games and I have been all my life and I play games for you guys. But that was my biggest issue is I couldn't wear headphones, or if I'm playing games like Fortnite where I need the surround sound, I can't hear anything. So having to try and find like all the settings to be able to just change it to the mono stereo where it like both earphones are the same sound basically. That's been an adjustment as well. Also, like I found, being in large crowds or in grocery stores or even loud vehicles have been really hard because only hearing out of one ear, if I hear a sound that's down the hall, I can't tell where the noise is coming from. So if I hear a noise and it's 10 feet over to my left, I can't tell, and it sounds like it's right here, like right beside me, but I can't tell the perception of sound, which has been a big difference as well. That's kind of my story. I want to bring attention to it more because like you guys are probably thinking, I've never heard of this thing before. It's brand new to me, and I feel like it's important to put it out there. With my teeny tiny little platform I have, I'm hoping that I can reach some people more, educate some people more, because it's quite common for an ear issues, the sudden deafness, to kind of go under the rug of like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, it's fine, when it's actually not. Like, it's classified as a medical emergency. It'd be like if you lost your sight suddenly. You're obviously going to go to the doctor about that if you lose your sight or if you broke your leg. That's a medical emergency. So your hearing is so important to you if you lose it all of a sudden, because a lot of our life is dependent on sound and stuff. I'm just very blessed to be able to hear out of one ear still. I feel like when you deal with anything, any sort of medical thing, there's always kind of like a mental toll going through it, because at least for myself personally, it's like going through a thing of, if I don't gain that hearing back, like technically a little disabled now, which is a weird word to say because it feels wrong. It doesn't feel right to say that I am if it doesn't come back. And then, yeah, having to go through like a grieving process with the ear because I don't know if it'll come back. Like if it comes back to like half hearing, half capacity, like that would be great. But at this point, I don't know. And the doctors don't know. And we're like obviously hoping for the best, but having to kind of, I think grief and grieving is kind of the right term to use, because you have to kind of go through that process of the grief to be able to accept it, of like denial, you know, all those like stages of grief. But it's like you're doing that with your body, and it's like the strangest thing. I don't know if people like feel that way if like they lose an arm. I feel like it would be the same way, you know, you go through like a grievance of like your arm or something. That was a weird comparison, but it feels like it. And like the people who are, you know, are watching this that are going through something similar, like they might understand it. But it's like you can't, it's hard when you can't hear out of your one ear and then having to adjust and everything. Also, I find having that support system is huge. I have an amazing spouse that was willing to drop everything for me when I was going through this, and I can't thank him enough for that. My family has also been super supportive. Friends have been super great. Like, you know, my workplace was absolutely fantastic when I had to do so many ER and clinic visits and everything. Having that support system is huge. And if you don't have that support system, you know, going online, like there's so many people out here, whether it be, you know, on YouTube here, on Reddit, there's so many people on Reddit that I read have a similar experience than mine. And just reaching out on there, I think, is huge. But if you can't find anybody, little plug, let's just comment. Let's just say hi to everybody. And if you're going through something similar, or if you want to know more about it, like if you have questions, like let me know as well, because I'm more than willing to answer some questions, because it's something that's not known, or at least very little is known about this. So kind of to sum it up, if you're struggling with something like this, please, 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 please go see a doctor right away. Like I cannot stress that enough. If you're experiencing like any sort of hearing loss, like please, 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 please go to an emergency hospital like ASAP, because it is so important. Because within the first 72 hours is so important, because they can start treatment right away. Anything past that, it's kind of a 50-50 stretch if they can even do anything. And I know they were tossing that up with me of like, should we start treatment? Should we not? Is it worth it? But because at that point when I saw them, it was 4 weeks, there was nothing to be done. They're like, we could try it, but then you're going on steroids for no reason, basically. And they don't want to do that if they don't have to, obviously. So that's the biggest thing I can stress. And I found like going on Reddit helped a lot of hearing people's experiences that are similar to mine. The one I went to was, I think, r/mono hearing or something like that, because they talked about people who are either just normally, you know, born deaf in one ear, or that had the sudden hearing loss, and just hearing some people's stories that are very similar to mine. It kind of made me feel better knowing that I'm not alone and that people understand me a little bit, because it's really hard to like get people to relate to you when it's a situation that you don't know and you don't understand until you're in it. You know, even in this video, if you guys are feeling alone, like let's comment on the video and we'll be that community for each other, because like I'm here, you know, like I'm here for you. Because it's a very isolating thing almost, because people don't get it. And then the mental toll of like going, oh, what was that? Can you repeat that one more time? Oh, I didn't hear you. And you know, oh, you stand on this side because I can only hear you out of this side. It's a lot mentally. Like it's not an easy thing. And I'm going to preface, yes, of course, I know it's not the end of the world. I can still hear and I can still talk, and I'm very thankful for that. That doesn't make the situation any better, because it is still something that you're going through. But I won't let this go any longer. I appreciate y'all for being here. If you want to reach out to me at any point, if anybody is struggling with anything similar to this and they're feeling like in a rut because of their hearing loss, like please comment. We'll be here for each other. I'm here for you guys. You guys can hang out with me at all times, comments, all that kind of stuff. But if you're friend or family who knows me personally, you can reach out at any point. Like, I'm doing okay. Like, I'm totally fine. It's just a learning curve. It's just a learning curve in life that I kind of have to go through, and that's okay. I went through a slump. And that's okay. But I feel like it's quite normal for something like this because I had to almost grieve that hearing loss. But yeah, if you want to see more of me, leave a follow and subscribe and all that other stuff. And thanks for sitting through my TED Talk. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye!